The first clue something was off came 3 days before the email. An empty chair sat at the Thursday executive sink. Not just any chair, but Stroman's, the senior director of finance at Bulldog, a company notorious for his habit of calling interns human bandwidth. He was always 15 minutes early, always armed with a red pen and his diet of rage and cucumber water. But that day, he was gone. No explanation, no mention, no calendar entry. Odd. Then the Slack channel started acting funny. The hashtag #obscore channel vanished, just disappeared. HR called it a permissions glitch, but I checked the back-end logs. Someone had nuked the entire workspace at 3:47 in the morning. Who's online at 3:47 in the morning? No one, unless they're scrubbing evidence. Then came the Friday pizza party. We hadn't had anything resembling a morale event since pre-COVID, so when they announced a surprise appreciation day with greasy Domino's and lukewarm LaCroix, everyone raised eyebrows. They booked the event space next to HR, complete with balloons and a damn DJ. They were trying too hard. The VP of People, Becca, the one who kept TED Talk quotes framed on her desk, gave a 5-minute speech about redefining culture that made 3 people quietly update their resumes mid-slice. I should have known it wasn't a party. It was a distraction. By Monday, my badge stopped working on the first try. A second scan triggered a beep and a green light. I laughed it off, but my gut started screaming. My team's weekly report got bounced back with a weird error. User does not exist. Our resource tracker was gone, redirected to a 404 page with a smiling fox that said, "Oops." That Tuesday, the email hit at 7:08 in the morning. Subject, Strategic Realignment Update. Body, your position has been impacted. Your role has been identified as redundant in the upcoming transformation cycle. We appreciate your service. Effective immediately. No salutation, no signature, no dignity. The kicker? It was a reply-all optional notice, as if I'd want to hit reply and thank them for shoving 16 years of loyalty into a 4-line digital obituary. I hadn't taken PTO in 2 years. I ran payroll through a tornado warning once, literally. I slept on the office couch during fourth-quarter audit week, and now a bot had fired me. But I didn't reply with a sob story. I replied with something better. 3 months ago, Stroman, the missing bulldog, sent me the wrong attachment in a shared folder meant to be a cost model. What I got instead was a spreadsheet titled FI25 Bonus Matrix Master Final XLSM. It had tabs, names, and dollar amounts that made my severance look like spare change on a dive bar floor. In that moment, my heart pounded like drywall cracking under pressure. I didn't feel sad or scared. I felt ready. They forgot I trained half the people who built the permission system. They thought cutting me loose was quiet, surgical, but I don't go quietly, and I don't leave empty-handed. Back when I still gave a damn, they used to call me the ghost of budget past. Quiet, fast, invisible. I knew where every dollar slept, cried, or got laundered, so when Stroman sent me that spreadsheet by mistake, I didn't flag it or forward it. I buried it in plain sight, tucked inside a folder labeled Archive Backup FY22, nested under 6 dummy subfolders named after projects. I knew sooner or later someone would press the wrong button, and I wanted a front-row seat. What I didn't know was how wrong they'd play it. They didn't just lay me off, they erased my department. 57 people, operations, strategy, logistics, vendor compliance, all gone, like we were a bad idea someone had at a bar. They didn't even do it cleanly. One guy found out because his Slack avatar vanished mid-stand-up. Another was on a client Zoom when her Outlook calendar deleted itself live, her meeting blinking off the screen like it got raptured. It wasn't downsizing. It was a digital execution. And the spreadsheet? Oh, that thing was radioactive. It had names, not just C-suite, but board members, external consultants. One guy was listed only by initials, RM, with a $2.4 million discretionary alignment incentive and a note, secure continued silence. Cancun. What the hell happened in Cancun? But the part that made my blood boil was a line item for Becca, the pizza party clown queen herself. $175,000 for culture navigation during transition. She gave us 2 slices of pepperoni and a Spotify playlist. That's it. That's navigation. Meanwhile, the entire Q&A team got 0 severance. It wasn't just greed, it was surgical hypocrisy, a corporate magic trick. Smile, slash, and juggle lies behind your back with glitter on their hands. So, at 9:42 in the morning, after 23 minutes of rage pacing, 2 energy drinks, and 1 very illegal override command, I logged into the legacy distribution list, all employees U.S. Corp. They'd migrated most communications to internal tools, but someone forgot to decommission that old pipeline, and it still worked. I opened the email thread they sent me, clicked reply all, and before I could second-guess it, I attached the file. Not the full spreadsheet, that would be reckless. I pasted just enough into the body to whet the appetite, 5 names, 5 bonuses, 5 justifications that read like satire. Then I typed 6 words. If we're redundant, what is this? No signature, no goodbye, no regrets. Click send. Then I stood up, unplugged my keyboard, and walked toward the window overlooking the parking lot. I watched little clusters of employees gathering, faces glowing from their phones. The HR generalist jogged into the executive suite, holding her tablet like it was ticking. I smiled because I knew the file wasn't just numbers. It was kindling. First silence, then chaos. It started small, a Slack ping from someone in procurement. Is this real? Then another from a guy in legal I hadn't spoken to in 4 years. This was not in Discovery. Where did you get this? At 10:11 in the morning, I watched Becca burst out of HR like someone lit a fire under her ergonomic yoga stool. She power-walked past the copy machines as interns tried to pretend they weren't reading the email thread and beelined into the executive war room. Her heels clicked so fast they sounded like Morse code for fear. By 10:27, they'd locked me out, email gone, badge red light, remote access dead. But they were too slow. They didn't realize I still had a back door. You don't spend 16 years building systems without leaving a few trapdoors behind, especially when you're the one who wrote half the internal IT training manuals. I logged into a sandbox account I created in 2018 under the alias Marty Calhoun, who, according to our system, was a janitor on leave in Puerto Rico. Through Marty, I watched the dominoes tip. People weren't just reading the email, they were responding. A graphic designer replied with a list of unpaid invoices from last quarter. A project manager from the Munich office attached screenshots of cost-saving measures that showed execs renting Lamborghinis during a climate summit in Dubai. Someone in marketing, God bless them, fired off a meme of the CFO's face photoshopped onto Gollum cradling a pile of gold coins. Every minute, it got louder, bigger. By lunch, the thread had 12,000 views. The subject line had been forwarded outside the organization. LinkedIn posts started popping up like mushrooms after rain. Today I lost my job, but I gained my spine. When leadership shows you who they are, believe them. Hashtags formed. Hashtag Coon Bonus started trending regionally. Someone made a TikTok. It had a dance. There was a freaking dance. But the part that hit hardest? Someone leaked the rest of the spreadsheet. I didn't do it. I didn't need to. Once a fire starts, dry grass handles the rest. The files spread like mold in a Florida rental. Reddit got hold of it. Then Twitter. Then one of the morning finance shows posted it under the headline, Anonymous Employee Exposes Corporate Rot at $2 billion Tech Giant. Guess how they pictured me? A blurry crop from a company picnic, holding a hot dog and wearing a foam finger. Caption, the ghost of budget past. While the world laughed, screamed, and hashtagged, upstairs an emergency board meeting convened in the executive suite, frosted glass, black suits. I counted 8 of them. Then, 20 minutes later, someone new walked in. Not a VP, not an internal guy, but one wearing Ferragamo loafers and carrying a black leather case. That was the lawyer, not our lawyer, a federal one. That's when I knew they hadn't just messed with the wrong employee. They'd messed with the wrong numbers. I always said the numbers would be their undoing because they lied. Everyone lies, but they were lazy about it. The bonus spreadsheet didn't just have payouts, it had timelines. Those timelines overlapped with earnings calls, SEC filings, vendor terminations, and a mysterious budget shift that happened 2 weeks before the company posted a sudden $37 million loss correction nobody could explain. Well, now people wanted explanations. By Wednesday morning, the CFO, our very own Gollum with a platinum Amex, hadn't been seen in the building. Rumor was he was working remotely, which is rich, considering the spreadsheet flagged his bonus as a pending wire transfer pre-earnings blackout. That phrase alone was enough to make 3 compliance officers cry into their coffee. But here's where it got weird. Someone from the C-suite reached out to me, not officially, not via HR, but through a burner Gmail account. Subject line, one word, talk. The body just said, "We underestimated you. We'd like to make this right." Quietly. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a tab and checked the company stock, down 14.6%. Bloomberg ran a headline, "Layoff Leak Exposes Rot at Transparent Tech Firm." At exactly 2:04 in the afternoon, someone pulled the fire alarm, not a drill, not a test. Actual lights flashed, and an automated voice told people to evacuate the building. I joined the flood of employees marching into the parking lot, watching execs try to look calm while stepping over puddles in $800 shoes. Someone whispered that a board member had passed out. Someone else said legal was shredding paper like it owed them money. That was the moment I saw her. Becca, the balloon queen, standing beside a rental SUV, gripping her phone like it was a grenade and muttering through gritted teeth. I walked over. She noticed me too late. Her eyes went wide, then flat, a flicker of fear before the mask returned. "This isn't the place," she hissed. "Oh, I think it's the perfect place," I replied. "Plenty of witnesses." Her jaw twitched. "What do you want? Money? A settlement? You've made your point." I smiled. "No, Becca. You don't get it. This isn't about a point. This is about all of it. You're bitter," she snapped, lowering her voice. "Do you know what your little stunt did to my department? Do you know what your spreadsheet did to mine?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she climbed into the SUV, slammed the door, and called someone, probably the crisis PR firm they were paying more than my entire severance package. Meanwhile, I got a message on Slack, still active on my Ghost account, from someone in payroll. It was a link, no words. I clicked it to a hidden dashboard labeled Project Ghostlight. 50 names, mine among them, all marked high-risk monitor, preemptive termination justified. Suddenly, everything clicked. The layoffs weren't just budget cuts. They were surgical removals, a purge of anyone who'd ever asked the wrong question, poked too deep, or clicked the wrong cell in the wrong spreadsheet. If I was on that list, I wasn't the only one with fire left to light. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was scared, but because I was wired, like the kind of wired you get after chugging gas station espresso while watching your former employer unravel in real time. It was like being front row at a corporate implosion with popcorn in one hand and a burner phone in the other. That Project Ghostlight dashboard wasn't just a hit list, it was chronological. Someone had spent months cataloging employees deemed obstructive. Most were people I'd worked with, quiet ones, good ones, the kind who didn't play politics but knew where the bodies were buried, sometimes because they helped dig the damn holes. Some were gone already, marked voluntary departure. Except I remembered one of them, a developer named Tanya, leaving in tears after being told her position was phased out for redundancy a week after she flagged a budget mismatch in vendor payments. Another, Jerome from procurement, vanished after requesting clarity on a fake invoice that led straight to the CFO's pet project in Turks and Caicos. So I started reaching out, not through LinkedIn, too traceable, but through encrypted messengers, Signal, Proton Mail, aliases, one even through a Reddit thread we used to troll our own company's marketing slogans. By noon the next day, I had 6 ex-employees on a group call, one from Texas, one from Berlin, one, God bless him, yelling over the engine from a fishing boat in Alaska. What they told me made the spreadsheet look like child's play. There was another file, not a bonus doc, but one called Alignment Forecast Q3Q4, buried behind an admin-only SharePoint wall that had been recently deleted. It detailed future layoffs, 3 quarters out, entire teams marked non-strategic, budgets already reallocated before the layoffs were even announced. This wasn't reactionary, it was the plan all along. And guess who approved that reallocation? The CFO, with signatures from Becca and RM again. That damn RM kept showing up like a ghost behind the curtain. Every doc, every leak, but no one could ID him. We searched org charts, internal emails, contract vendor databases. Nothing until Alaska guy Tommy went quiet, then said, "Wait, RM, you mean Ronan Meir? Ronan freaking Meir, former board member, resigned 6 years ago after a scandal involving equity manipulation and an offshore investment shell. Quiet exit, NDA, swept under like dust under a white carpet. Everyone assumed he was done. Apparently not. Apparently, he was still on payroll under a consultant retention clause tied to continuity operations, hidden in an old board resolution no one had reviewed since 2019. That meant the man pulling strings behind our bloodbath wasn't even supposed to exist anymore. That night, I sent an anonymous tip to a financial journalist I trusted. We'd crossed paths once when she wrote a hit piece on a tech company that inflated user numbers before a Series C. She responded in 5 minutes. If what you're saying is true, this goes beyond bonuses. This is criminal. I sent her everything: project, ghostlight screenshots, bonus spreadsheets, fake vendor invoices, employee logs. I didn't want a paycheck. I wanted scorched earth. By morning, she'd published. Headline: The Silent Purge, How One Employee Exposed a Multi-million-dollar Corporate Cover-Up. The article went viral in 4 hours. While the execs scrambled with PR statements and internal memos full of "we're listening and we value transparency," I got another message from an unknown number. "We know what you did. You need to stop, or we'll stop you." That's when I knew this wasn't just about numbers anymore. This was a war. I didn't respond to the threat. I forwarded it to the journalist, my burner group of ex-staff, and finally to someone I hadn't spoken to in 7 years, Max D'Angelo. Max used to run compliance back when the company still had a conscience. He left after clashing with the CFO over, guess what? A misfiled equity package labeled under employee training reimbursements. Since then, he'd gone rogue, a freelance forensic accountant consulting for whistleblowers, law firms, and regulators, a ghost in a suit. Max answered on the first ring. "What did they send you?" he asked. No greeting. "Just a little love note," I said. Vague threat, classic move. "You forward it to anyone? You, the reporter, and 6 pissed-off ghosts?" He whistled low. "They're panicking." "That's good. Panicking people get reckless." "Exactly," he said. "Now, let's push them off the edge." He wasn't kidding. Max already had a theory about RM and the Cancun note. He believed Ronan Mir had never really left, that after the board scandal they buried him legally, but kept him functionally intact as a back-channel consultant, off-books fixer, and strategic hatchet man, all protected by layers of shell LLCs and friendly firewalls. But here's where it got disgusting. Max discovered one of the shells, Tramway International, had a payment trail leading directly to a PAC. Not a big one, small, local, but tied to a state rep who, 6 months ago, sponsored legislation favoring tax leniency for tech-based reinvestments in workforce realignments. In other words, they got a tax credit for firing us. Let that sink in. They slashed our jobs, shuffled bonuses to cronies, then patted themselves on the back for streamlining inefficiencies while using that very bloodbath as leverage to cash in public funds. So we went further. The ex-employees I'd rallied became something between a trauma group and an investigative unit. Tanya dug up old flagged audit trails. Jerome pulled vendor logs and found 2 companies billing identical services with invoice numbers 1 digit apart. A classic laundering trick. Even Alaska Tommy stepped up, mapping out the timeline of layoffs against internal meeting records and discovering what we feared. The firings always preceded massive trades by one hedge fund, Felden and Thorne. Guess who sits on their advisory board? Ronan Mir. It was a circuit. Fire employees, leak just enough to drive the stock price down, hedge fund swoops in and shorts the drop, company quietly buys back shares at a discount, execs claim recovery progress, stock rebounds, everyone cashes out, rinse, repeat. Meanwhile, the press storm swelled. Anonymous sources came forward, one from the board. Someone even leaked a partial video of an exec meeting where the CFO yelled, "I don't care if it looks bad. We control the optics." But control was slipping. Protesters showed up outside headquarters with signs reading, "I am not redundant." The company's subreddit exploded. Anonymous employees started posting quotes from Project Ghostlight, turning the doc into corporate scripture. That Friday, HR sent a company-wide email. Subject, moving forward with integrity. It opened with, "We acknowledge recent concerns and are committed to rebuilding trust." Seconds later, someone hit reply all again, but it wasn't me. It was someone still inside. They pasted the full bonus matrix, all of it, names, amounts, justifications, and at the very bottom, a hidden sheet tab labeled Confirm RM Override. My heart stopped. Inside were instructions for suppressing audit flags, clearing bonus approvals outside fiscal windows, and, in plain goddamn text, authorization, proceed under Ronan. CEO will not block. CFO looped. No more theories, no more breadcrumbs, just proof. We had them. But this time they knew our names, too. It happened the next morning at 6:17. Every single one of us, me, Tanya, Jerome, Alaska Tommy, even the journalist, got locked out. Email accounts gone, two-factor apps reset, signal messages suddenly showing device changed. Whoever was behind the curtain had flipped the board on us. Fast, clean, surgical. Then came the call from Max. No hello, just they know what you have. I don't think they're going legal, I think they're going personal. He wasn't wrong. That afternoon, Tanya's landlord got an anonymous tip about a security breach and suddenly decided not to renew her lease. Jerome's car lease was flagged in some system as high risk, and repossession agents showed up at his office like he was a mobster. Alaska Tommy? TSA flagged him on a no-fly list for an unpaid library fine from 2006. You can't make this up. But the worst hit me not through screens but through family. At 9:40 to 2 in the evening, I got a call from my sister, voice shaking. Someone had called her, claiming I was under federal investigation for wire fraud using a fake badge number. They asked if I handled large amounts of sensitive financial information and said she could be implicated if she didn't answer a few questions. They were using fear now, trying to freeze us, fracture us. An old playbook, isolate the threat, make them question the cost, wait for the collapse. But they miscalculated. I'd already lost my job, my income, my reputation. All they could take now was time, and I was damn sure going to spend it finishing this. So I went nuclear. I leaked the entire internal comms archive. Everything I had, Slack logs, flagged budget memos, meeting notes, vendor receipts, emails where they coordinated severance packages after termination letters were dated, a full chain showing RM and go-aheads for timed layoffs around stock performance dips. I uploaded it all to a secure public drop and sent the link to 5 major investigative outlets. No burner email, no encryption, just a single message. If I disappear, publish everything. The next 48 hours were a blur. Cable news picked it up. The words whistleblower and corporate sabotage started flying around like bees in a busted hive. CNBC ran with the story again, merging it with the Fayette files. Somewhere between anchor panels and trending hashtags, the SEC finally blinked. Subpoenas were issued. 1 board member resigned. 2 others took a leave of absence. Then finally, the domino we were waiting for, a photograph leaked. Ronan Mir in a boardroom, pale, mid-sentence, documents in front of him, FBI jackets behind him, 2 agents. That picture went viral in under 10 minutes. Someone added the caption, "Damn this." Just like that, the empire cracked. Employees staged a walkout. Class action lawsuits were filed. Congressional reps tweeted about reforming corporate severance abuse. Inside that chaos, the company tried to spin the same tired PR line, "This doesn't reflect who we are." But it did. It always did. All we did was hold up a mirror, and now the world couldn't look away. Yet, as the headlines spread and the vultures circled, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't finished. Ronan may have been exposed, but I still hadn't heard a single word from the CEO. Not once. Not during the firings. Not when the spreadsheet leaked. Not when Ronan got perp-walked out of his fortress in Tribeca. He stayed hidden behind polished statements signed by corporate communications, behind vague promises of internal review, behind the dying glow of his LinkedIn posts about resilience and growth. Until the call came. Blocked number, 4:13 in the morning. I let it ring twice, picked up, said nothing. A breath on the line, then his voice. Smooth, low, rehearsed, like a man still clinging to the belief he could buy silence with tone alone. "You win," he said. Silence stretched. "You win," he repeated. "So what do you want?" I leaned against my kitchen counter, bare feet on cold tile, still wearing the hoodie I'd been living in since the fallout started. I smiled. "You think this was about winning? I already lost everything that mattered. My job, my team, my faith in this place. There's nothing left to take." He sighed. "Look, I know mistakes were made," I cut in. "You didn't make mistakes. You made decisions. You chose to protect a ghost. You chose to launder your guilt through bonuses and bury the truth under pizza parties. You don't get to play dumb now." Silence again. Then, "We can still fix this quietly." Ah, there it was. The last lever, the oldest one, control through silence. I almost laughed, but instead I gave him the only gift he'd never understand. "No," I said. "You don't get quiet, you get volume." Then I hung up. An hour later, the final drop hit. The journalist released a full exposé, transcripts, bank trails, audio clips, yes, audio, of closed-door meetings where execs joked about gutting dead weight and turning layoffs into performance theater. But the final blow wasn't media. It was the employees, thousands of them, a coordinated resignation wave. People walked out mid-shift, left laptops on cafeteria tables. One manager spray-painted #I am not redundant across the glass lobby wall. Clients pulled contracts, investors bolted. By Monday, the company was trading under $4 a share. By Wednesday, the CEO resigned to spend more time with family. And me? I moved, left the city, no forwarding address, just a cabin in the mountains and a generator powered by bitter satisfaction. I keep the original spreadsheet framed above my desk, a reminder not of revenge, but of how quickly redundant becomes revolution when you stop playing dead. They wanted silence. I gave them a damn symphony.